Hello, I'm Zoid, tearing down the studio because we're needing to get some work done here. So, no music making for a week or so. Boo! But I've got this thing that I wanted to talk about that is a little bit philosophical, but it's like on my mind recently. And I come across a lot of people around here in Ireland. I've heard this many times that people say, if you make something, music, art, whatever, that it's just whether it's good or not is it's just a matter of taste only. Like the only thing that matters is whether someone likes it or not, which is true. And I do agree with that to a certain extent, but there's something about it as well that annoys me a little bit, because it kind of means everything is equal. All art is equal. You know, my track and Aphex's track are equally as good or equally as bad, except for what's in the mind of the beholder, the listener. And I don't know, that might be true. I really I'm interested in this topic as an artist who thinks about this stuff a lot. I'm interested in, if somebody makes something, is there something objectively good or bad about it beyond just what someone might think? It's kind of a deep philosophical question. This may not be an definitive answer, but at least I'll just say some of my thoughts on the subject. And I don't know if this type of video is interesting to you, so let me know if it is. I'm not like a big fan of philosophical debates in general. I wouldn't be getting into too many philosophy things, but this just is one subject that I am interested in talking about and hearing your views. Let me know. If it's all in the mind of the listener, the beholder, whether it's good or not, then everything is subjective. If everything is subjective, then there's really no objective standard by which I can judge my own work to hear whether it's good or not. And maybe there is no point in doing that. But over my journey of making music for the last 30 years, I think that it is objectively getting better. And that's all I really wanted to do, is be better, do something better than the last one. The current track should be better than the last one, a little bit better, and then we're moving somewhere forward. And that's all I want, is progression forward, moving forward. I don't know how good that I can get in this lifetime, but I want to get as good as I can. I think John Coltrane wanted to get as good as he could. It drove him to practicing all the time, and that produced great work. And I want to pick 4 artists from different genres. The 4 are Bach, Aphex Twin, Charlie Parker, and David Bowie. Right, 4 completely different musicians, composers, songwriters in different genres, in different time periods. But they're all innovators, right? And they all are, I would say, reached a standard which is objectively something really hard to attain, really high standard, where I think that we could say that the music that they wrote is not just good because people like it. It's good. There's something objectively good about it. And what is that? What is it about that, about their music that is objectively good? I'm really interested in that. What is it that, they came up with melodies. Melodies are, to me, quite mysterious as to what exactly makes a good one. It's very hard to come up with a good melody. In terms of harmony and rhythm, I think those things I can kind of see how you can, like a science, study them and just practice them and get better at them. Harmony is very mathematical. Rhythm is kind of mathematical too. If you just play rhythms all day long for years and years, you get really good at rhythm. but melody it's not so clear to me, at least. If you go around humming tunes all day, you might not get better. There's a little bit of the melody coming from somewhere else, divine. I'm not really a big believer in that, but it does seem that a lot of musicians say, Paul McCartney or whoever, they're just tuning in, tapping into something, and it comes from somewhere else. That's not really theirs. Like Paul McCartney dreamt yesterday, so it's just his subconscious mind is just creating that stuff. Aphex melodies, they don't sound like anyone else. Where do they come from? Well, they come from his mind, but it's just interesting. It's just each person's a unique set of mental phenomenon, and then it just cooks up this certain quality of stuff. So, but anyway, back to making your melodies get better and better and better. How do you do that? Yeah, I think if you get to just work on it a lot, and if you write a lot of melodies, you're bound to have better ones over time, maybe. But objectively, how good are they? I could make up melodies all day long for years and years and never really get a great one. So, I don't know. How do you tune into that thing where you're getting some really good stuff? I don't really know that yet. I'm searching for that. A few times when I've been writing music, I've not done something different. And actually, now that I think about it, when I'm out walking around and doing something else and the tunes just come to your head, that's kind of like tuning into something. And Mitski said that too, I read in it. Or I saw her say that in an interview, that she was just right, like, well, she's coming home with the shopping bags, and just like when she's out and about, tunes will come and they'll go around her head. So yeah, okay. We got Bach. I'm not an expert on Bach, but I do love his music. I've not even listened to very much of it, but the few little things that I've heard or tried to play, they're brilliant on many levels. And what I know of him is he was a prolific composer and improviser, and he could just write all day, and did for a long time. I know a bit more about Aphex Twin, not him, but his music anyway, from listening to it. And I would say you can hear the progression from his early years, like the early Reflex 12 inches and Selected Ambient Works. By the way, quick plug I'm going to do a Zoom event on the Friday 3rd of May. It's going to be a lecture on Aphex's early music. So we're going to listen together to snippets of the tracks that I've sourced the chronological order from his very first release, Didgeridoo, to Selected Ambient Works Volume 1. It's not called that, it's called Selected Ambient Works 85 to 92. So that period of time, we'll listen together to bits of all those tracks, or not all, but a selection, and discuss them and question and answer and stuff. So Eventbrite, link below. But yes, if you listen to that music, it's very raw, it's industrial, it's dance music, and occasionally there's a hint of the melody and harmony that will come in later, like the cover version of Popcorn. And then Selected Ambient Works 85 to 92, loads of beautiful melodies and chord bits on that. So yeah, subjective versus objective. So Aphex Twin, so you can hear a big progression, like say from Selected Ambient Works 85 to 92 to Cyro. If you take the progression in terms of the production, there's a massive difference. He's objectively way better of a producer with Cyro. Or even like Window Licker, say, which was 1999. From 1992, there's a massive difference in those 7 years. And then Cyro 2014 is, again, another massive difference in the sound quality. So here's a big element of what I'm talking about, is the sound, the timbre of the music, the production. If you're a mix engineer and if you just mix engineer records all day long, and develop your ear really, really well for that kind of thing, well, you're going to be really good at hearing whether a mix is good or not objectively. But that doesn't mean the music is good or bad. We all know that there's like perfectly mixed, terrible music, a lot of it. But when it comes to electronic music, then the mixing and production of the music plays a bigger role. Like in techno or something like that, then it's part and parcel of the music itself. So things get a bit more complicated. Like the studio as an instrument. Well, Brian Eno started that. But yeah, all techno musicians, really, it's like studio as an instrument, which I would consider it a weak side of my own. Well, because I spent so much time practicing guitar and learning music theory and doing all that jazz stuff, that was time I was not spending in the studio getting a sound. And why I've been at it 30 years and it feels like it's only starting to come together now, I think for me, is because it took so long, because I do all that jazz stuff and then the studio stuff. I'm still working on that. I've been doing it a really, really long time, and it takes a really, really long time. Really, basically, when you look at people who are great at something, usually, well, not all the time, but a lot of times it's like they just did that one thing, got great at it. It's easier to get great at one thing. But if you want to get great at several things, it's obviously harder. That's some thoughts on Aphex's objective improvements, as much as I could say it. He is a genius, I believe, but in many things as well. Composing on instruments, recording, the quality, the production, the synthesizer knowledge, the electronic engineering, the making his own stuff. So there's a huge bunch of things come together. Charlie Parker, he's more of the did one thing, got really good at it, played the sax for that year when he was woodshedding, whatever, 12 hours a day, 13 hours a day, did nothing else, played the saxophone, got really good at it. So good that when he came out of that and he started playing, it changed the entire world of jazz. Everyone's like, oh my God, Bird. Everyone started playing like him. Charles Mingus says if Charlie Parker was a gunslinger, there'd be a whole lot of dead copycats. So then on to, who's the other one? David Bowie. Yeah, David Bowie, a bit more like went beyond music into a total cultural icon, really. But in terms of his music, it's very innovative. The harmony, the melodies are, again, they have that quality they're very different from other people's melodies. And it's just, as a songwriter, I didn't even really get that into David Bowie's music until after he passed away, which was kind of weird. But from playing some of his songs, I mean, just incredible structures and the chord sequences and the melodies, the way they all fit together. So what the appreciation of the music as objectively good or bad, that requires some knowledge. Maybe this is part of the stuff that people really don't like. Like I love some music like ghetto house music still, though, you can just appreciate it on a basic level and it's good. But I don't know, the Derek May track Icon, that's one of my favorite Derek May tracks. The first time I heard that, Eamon Doyle played it for me in like the 96 or 97, and tears came to my eyes when I heard the track. It was a very strong emotional reaction. But that's an important element of music, that it causes, or there's an emotional response that people have to it. I think with Aphex's music that's really true. There's a strong emotional response that people have to his music, and that's why it's so popular. Bach, definitely. Charlie Parker, a lot of people don't have any emotional response to it. So that gets back to my thing about, if somebody just thinks it's shit, is it shit, or is it that they just didn't appreciate it? Because it is really great. There's something objectively great in it. He attained something, some level where he made something that goes way beyond his life. It will be listened to for a very long time. And that's a great thing to aspire to. And at the same time, if you don't get it all, that's perfectly fine too. I don't think everyone has to like everything or anything like that. But I've rambled on now for way too long. So did any of this make sense? Any comments, any thoughts on this? Let me know. Thank you.